Very good.
Hi, hello everybody. Hello, Natalio. Thank
Hello,
you for
Anna.
being here. Thank you. I'm really
Thank you.
proud about this interview, but let me introduce you first. You are the CEO of Workli.
Mhm.
That is a startup, but you
Mhm.
will tell us about it, and
Mhm.
also a professor at the Newcastle University.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
So the first question is, as a researcher, how did you discover the deep thoughts benefits?
Mhm. So first, let me say thank you very
Yes,
much, Anna, for having
thank
me
you.
here. I'm really happy to be talking with you, probably for the second or third time now, uh,
Mhm.
working with your colleagues and AIM, and that's great that we can do that. So I'm happy to be here. So you were asking how I discover deep
Mhm.
thought. Um, Perhaps I will change the term from deep thoughts to deep focus,
Deep
because
thought.
deep thoughts is a little bit intimidating. When people hear deep thoughts, they will think about rocket science or quantum cosmology, and it's not really about that. It's not really like that.
Okay.
So let's say deep focus. Um, the reality is that I discovered this much earlier. I was in the final in the final exams back in Argentina when I was a high school student, and these were hard exams. But in Argentina, in the north of Argentina, the exams takes place close to the summer, and the summers are quite brutal, very hot summers. I didn't want to be locked in a room studying. I wanted to go to the swimming pool. I was a competitive swimmer at the time, so I would go to the swimming pool and spend lots of
Okay.
time swimming training, and I was worried that I could see all my classmates spending a lot of time on those exams, and thinking, well, maybe I should put more effort on this. But then what happened is that I realized that it was not about the amount of time you spend studying. It's about the quality of the study, how much you can concentrate, and that you can concentrate intently and intensively on what you're doing. And so that's what I did. I spent lots of time swimming during those summers of the exams, this summer, but also very focused concentration during my studies. And I did very well in both the swimming and the exams. So this taught me a lesson that you can actually achieve great stuff if you focus deeply on something. So the difficulty, of course, with all of this is that life gets in the way, right? It's very easy to forget the value of deep work, of focus, and when you start forgetting this, then your brain muscles, your attention muscles start to weaken, and then everything goes downhill from there. Since I left school, then I went to university, and I only practiced deep work very intermittently. It was not that I was always doing that, very intermittently. And at the time, I didn't know that what I was trying to do will be known as deep work, and I didn't have a name for it. I haven't read any books about that. It all came back in earnest, really, and this is coming back to your question in terms of the research and how deep work helps on that. When I was doing my PhD, it was around the year 2001. I was doing good stuff for my PhD studies, but I didn't have a framework of thought for integrating all the things that I was doing. So it was good work, but it was sort of messy and disconnected. You need to think that during PhD, when PhD studies, these are exciting times. You meet lots of new people, you learn lots of new technical stuff, but also lots of things. You learn lots of things that are unrelated to your PhD because you have met lots of people. So I learned to glide and to dive and to even dance salsa, sort of dance salsa. I'm not a great dancer. So it was fun, but I was very distracted, and it showed in my work that I was distracted. Now,
Distraction right now is a very big problem because of social, internet, the smartphone. I'm not saying that you are old.
No,
But
no, no. I think you're
for the new
absolutely.
generation that are digital native, is it's a way of life. So probably they will never have the chance to go deep in the study or in a sport or something like this, because it's part of our life. So I
Yeah.
let you finish, but
No,
I
no,
want
no, no.
to go.
You're absolutely right. I'll give you an example
Mhm.
in a minute that is just
Okay.
coming to my mind. But you're absolutely right. So anyway, what I was going to say is that I was distracted. I was not really focusing on the PhD, and I have this keen insight that I recognized that I was lacking focus.
Mm.
So what I did is I locked myself. I disconnected from everything. At the time, as you said correctly, you didn't have things like Facebook and all of these kind of things, but still
No,
there were other kind of distractions. Distractions were always there. You could
everyone.
go to the theater, you could go to the movies, play football, whatever. So I disconnected myself for a week, but it only took 3 days. 3 days, and in 3 days, I managed to come up with this framework for organizing all the thoughts that went into the PhD that helped me learn to think about these new algorithms that I was working on. If you're curious, these algorithms are called memetic algorithms. And and from this framework, I got the PhD thesis. I got several papers, and that collectively accumulated several thousands of citations. We launched a new field, even a new journal around that. So, so the second lesson that I learned is that you don't forget the first lesson, which is deep work pays back with interest. It's worth spending the effort on deep work. Um, so yeah,
It will have a really impact in our life also, as if you are talking about happiness and healthy life.
absolutely. I think I like very much the definition that Carl Newport
Mhm.
gives about deep work. This is
In the book.
in the book. Carl Newport popularized the terms new
Okay.
work, deep work in 2016. And what he says is that deep work are professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive abilities to their limits. And you can apply this to anything. It's not only about work. You can apply this to your hobbies. You can apply this to your sports, or even to when you decide to entertain. What you tell me, what is more enjoyable, to prepare a meal in a rush for some friends, or to actually have the time and the dedication where you can prepare a proper meal for your friends and really welcome them to your home. So it's about this state where you do one thing at a time, and you do it properly. And yes, it can have a very big impact on your life. I can give you an analogy if you want.
Mhm.
Um, suppose that suppose that a friend of you, and let's say the friend is called Susan, comes and asks you for money and said, "I need £100 for €100 for something." You go and you give her the money, and a few months later she gives the money back. Maybe next year she does the same. She asks you for money, you lend her €100, and then she later pays it back. Now, all of this is fine. This happens to everybody. Now, it happens that Susan has two friends, one called Alice and one calls Bob. And they hear from Susan that you lend money. So
Mhm.
they come and they say, "Well, can you also lend us money?" Well, you perhaps hesitantly, you might lend her a little bit of money once. Bob pays it back, Alice does not. The second time they come to ask you, you will say no. And if any of Alice and Bob friends comes to ask you for money, for sure you will say no, because you don't know, you have no clue. Now, think about this. Our emails, our inbox is our time bank. And each
Okay.
time somebody sends you an email, it's asking you for two things. It's asking you for whatever the email is about, please fill the spreadsheet or solve the bug in the project or produce a PDF with some documents, but it's also asking you time to read that email and to act on the email and to respond to the email. So our inbox are like a time bank where the vaults where we keep our time is open for everybody. Everybody can come and take a chunk of your time by sending requests to you by email. Do you think that is something sensible? Would you say that is something healthy? And
it's really important because my time, I don't know how much time I will have in this life, but I know for sure that it's a precise number.
Absolutely. And unlike money, time cannot be given back.
No.
Once the time you have spent answering an email or responding in a Slack channel, somebody's communication, this is time that is gone. So, and we do not stop to think whether this is something that is good for us, whether it's something that is good for our families or for our company. We don't. We just mindlessly respond to emails all the time.
It's not also about email, but I will ask you how artificial intelligence in the future will help us. Is something that we have to be confident about, or there's no way? It's the lifestyle that we choose to have that will really make the difference.
I think that's a very it's a very hot topic actually, because the way in which artificial intelligence tools are deployed in the real world are essentially done without much consideration for the impacts on people's life. So there are lots of machine learning tools that without we knowing we are exposed to, and they are having an impact. Whether this will help or not our productivity is a different story, and whether they will help or not our general well-being is another big question, and it's very unclear what the drivers are. I'm quite skeptical that unless from the very beginning of the design of these artificial intelligence systems, our work habits and well-being is taken into account, that they will be positive. I think most of these tools have a completely different goal than our well-being, and that's problematic.
What I love about Workli, your startup, is that is a tool, also, but there is always a session of coaching about how to use and how it will help teams to work in.
Yes.
So, can you talk about the innovation behind it?
Yes. So I actually already when I was doing the PhD, the craziness of social media was still not there. We didn't have Twitter and Facebook and all of these kind of things, but email was already a big problem, and lots of meetings that were poorly organized without proper clear agendas were a big problem. So I started to think, yes. So I started thinking about this many years ago, actually, but only in 2016 we started really seriously thinking about deep work and how we can help people, how can we help ourselves. We use deep work, Workli, for our own work every day, but also how we can help others. And at the end, we came out with a couple of very simple premises, if you want, for the tool. We wanted Workli to put people at the heart of the tool, not the tool at the heart of people. What we mean by this is that most of the other productivity tools, and let alone social media tools like Instagram and Twitter and Twilio and all of this, they are all the time trying to attract your attention. They're sending you notifications and warnings and alerts and likes and all of this all the time. It's a constant bombardment of notifications, and this essentially distracts you from anything useful or productive that you could be doing. So we didn't want to.
Their goal is selfish. They want you to keep there, not help you, not improve your life.
You are right, because what they count is the amount of time people are looking at on their app, maximize engagement on their app. Exactly. We didn't want to do that because we thought that this is exactly the opposite of what deep work should be. So what we did was simply reduce all the complexity of project management and productivity tools to a very minimal model, where the tool does some of the management for you, and the only notification you receive is one email once it's your turn to work in something, and that's it. So it has these nudges that help you focus on one thing at a time, so it helps you compartmentalize and do good quality work on a project at a time. And the second premise was that the realization that deep work is hard. Like any habit, is hard to acquire, because bad habits are bad because they are easy to acquire, and then people get stuck on them. But deep work is something you need to practice on, and you need to, and it's easier if somebody can help you. So we integrated through video meetings, one-to-one coaching to help people with the work. We help them analyze how are their current existing working practices. We help them identify where the time black holes are, where are they spending time that perhaps they shouldn't, and then the person themselves, they decide how to improve. So we guide them through this process with the help of these one-to-one video sessions, and with the help of Workli itself.
Oh, it's really interesting. Project management is one of the most important job right now, but I think it's also a skill that everybody should have.
Yes,
And
I agree.
So I'm really happy that we had this small interview. I will add more link and suggestion in the newsletter, so people will go deep into the subject.
Wonderful.
And it is. I'm really happy. So thank you again for the time that you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for your time and for giving me the opportunity to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So